In focus, all right. This is actually not related, but this is just about the weirdest tweet I've seen today. This is levels of cognitive dissonance, a copium, the Trump derangement syndrome. When you can write something like this with a straight face and get 17,000 likes on it, and only 1,000 comments. Stephen King says what has to be understood about the general's calls to the Chinese is that he was dealing with an unprecedented case where the president of the United States was paranoid and not in his right mind, justifying treason because of Trump derangement syndrome. That's just the nuttiest thing I've seen. Okay, here's the thing. I thought this story was interesting with the Shang-Chi guy, the movie. Click links for Coffee Odysee and the rest. He seems like a guy who doesn't understand SJW American culture, I guess is the right word for it. It's kind of like a propaganda movement or like a massive brainwashing thing, but culture will do well enough. I consider myself, I don't know if I'm an expert on SGWs, but I'm really learning a whole lot about them in the past 5 or 6 years, more than I ever thought I would want to know. So he seems, the Shang-Chi guy, he seems like just an affable idiot, somebody you'd want to go barbecuing with, and he seems too naive for social media. Somebody on Twitter said that he went from a star to being canceled in like 2 weeks. And that's not exactly true, but he is on very thin ice. And I don't think he knows he's on thin ice, or I don't think he knows why he's on thin ice. First of all, Shang-Chi is breaking records, sort of. But then you look at the records and there were all these like weird relative records, like being the best domestic third week for a certain type of movie. And you're like, it only did $22 million. How's that? That's like, overall, that's not very good. Oh, yeah, but for this time, in this specific category, $22 million. Yeah, but is it in the black or is it in the red? Oh, well, right now it's in the red. Well, do you expect it to go in the black? Probably not. My point is, if you got 3 films and they all lose money, the best is still in the red. It's still losing money. The budget was something like $150 to $200 million. And then you double that for advertising, which people don't seem to get. Then you get a rough estimate of what it needs to hit domestically, because domestic returns are a much greater percentage than foreign returns. Foreign returns are very small. So I assumed it would do fine before. And then I watched it. And after watching it, it is crap. It's all girl power. It's all like, just the thought bubble over everyone's head is, are we really doing this? Like having a bunch of 40-year-old chicks running around doing this like superhero thing? It's a little weird, and some of them, they look like they were grandmas. I mean, they're in shape, but it's hard to believe they did that with a straight face, but they did. Go sailing if you're curious about it, but it's not worth your time. Even if you get it for free, you're probably gonna watch a half hour of it and just go, yeah, I'd rather just like listen to YouTube or something. If you want something along that vein, go watch some old Jackie Chan or Bruce Lee films. In fact, I think Disney, this genre is kind of over. It feels over to me. And that might also be true of Hollywood in general. Everything is just fake and lighthearted and frivolous. So this actor guy, he started off with his Nicki Minaj comment, I know, a couple years ago, I think, where he saw some silly performance of her on stage, and he laughed at her. He said she looked like a crazy person on stage chasing a pigeon or something like that. I like Nicki Minaj. I think she's actually really talented. I'm not a huge rap fan, but I've heard some of her stuff. I go, yeah, there's talent here. She knows what she's doing. But if you don't like her, it's fine. If you want to compare her to a crazy person chasing a bird, that's fine. You should be free to criticize anyone. He said she was dancing around like a homeless person or something, which is problematic on a couple levels, dealing with homeless people, dealing with mental illness. He just had no idea. He thought he was free to treat her equally. He didn't understand purse puppies and the science of the SJWs and the treatment of purse puppies and the soft bigotry and the use of shields. Nicki is darker than the Shang-Chi guy, so she has more privilege. She can't be criticized by someone with fewer points than her. Like you could give me a dozen people and with a little 3x5 card. That's a dating myself. Explaining them, and I could tell you where they are on the hierarchy. It's just that easy. It's like you don't have to be an expert in sociology to tell you where people currently rank, and that rank changes as things come into vogue. Like right now, the trans thing is really in vogue, but actually it's kind of on the downward cycle. So I'm not sure what the next vogue thing is, because trans is on its way out. God help us if it's something like furries or like trans species. Holy shit, that would be fucking weird. And, you know, everything you think is like inconceivable is almost guaranteed to be on the horizon in the next few years. And you know, it's funny how, like, if we literally go to war, like a civil war, all this stuff is just going to be dust in the wind. Like, there's nobody worrying about pronouns when you're going through a civil war, which we very well may go through. So that's something to look forward to. Except Biden might now take Nicki's blackness away and turn her into a folk singer, which would be interesting. So the guy who Biden said that to when he gave that interview, he just sat there and he took it like a bitch, and he said, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black, because he didn't want to get Epstein. If you get between Biden and the presidency, you're definitely going to self-delete with like 2 to the back of the head, or you'll be a victim of a botched robbery or something stupid, something obvious. It's like, oh gee, they robbed him, they hit him twice with the 180 grain, and they didn't actually rob him or anything. Didn't take his wallet, didn't take his shoes. Kind of weird. It's just a hit on some guy who was giving an interview to Biden last week. It's like that chick who visited Obama. She was suing over the 9/11 commission, and then a week after visiting Obama, she didn't take the settlement. She was suing, and her plane crashed. I mean, just coincidences, but it's like coincidences add up to where they're kind of weird. Anyway, so that whole calculus went through that guy's head in an instant. Like he realized, like, this isn't just some 80-year-old man. This is a guy who could snap his fingers and a week later he could just disappear you. It's like, America's not quite so bad as Russia, but if you're familiar with Hillary Clinton, you know how dangerous politicians are. So Shang just didn't know the way of the world, and he doesn't seem to be learning. He heard and misunderstood a comment by the Disney executive, and he kind of put his foot in his mouth a little bit, but it wasn't actually that big a deal. Then the film comes out and it sucks, and people criticize it lightly, and he gets triggered again on Twitter, and he blames folks who, it's like, gee, the critics, that's what they do, they criticize films. It's like, just don't take it that personally. And he says it's a big hit, except it isn't a big hit, at least not yet. It might be if it I don't know if they get some kind of resurgence, but it doesn't look too likely. And really, like, why are you engaging with trolls in the first place? Just to put himself as the underdog and probably try to get some more eyeballs on the film. And then he comes out with the Reddit posts where he's talking about weird things that he shouldn't be talking about. If you're a public figure, you're an actor, there's just whole areas just not to get involved with. You're very, very wise if you stay out of politics. He's an example of someone who doesn't understand the way of the world and should stay anonymous when he's on social media. Now, he didn't actually say anything too crazy on his Reddit post, I don't think, but he's sending signals to his masters that he doesn't know that he needs to stay on the plantation. He doesn't know what the rules are, these unspoken rules, and I don't know why he doesn't know it. He doesn't know his place on the privilege scale. He's actually close to the bottom. The only group that he is allowed to crap on are the blonde devils, but it seems he just has no clue how woke the American SJW environment is. You can't even say that. I was going to say, like, this isn't what it was like 20 years ago. Things had changed quite drastically pre-2016. There was a huge jump there. Then 2020 was this seismic shift in, I don't know what you want to call it, the Marxist or Bolshevik Revolution 2.0. If you're an actor who is this clueless, you better stay off Twitter and social media, because you're lubed up and you're running through a cock forest. It's just a matter of time before something messy happens and you get anally impregnated which is probably where the real movie magic happens. You're better off without social media, or have your secretary run your social media accounts and just like hit it up every time you have a new project, or something like that. It's like I'm sure there's companies that do just that, and it's obvious like that this is, I don't know, so and so public relations council or company running this guy's ad. And it's like, so if they screw up, it's on them. It's like, it's not on the creator. And the thing is, if you know how to use social media to manipulate your customers, and you know how to roll that out, go for it, use it. But you got to be able to put emotions aside and be your own public relations guy. You just can't talk about the science of why degenerates enjoy abusing kids, because when he said that, he disgusted everyone on the right, because abusing kids is sort of a left-wing thing. But then the left is also kind of torn about it, because the far left, they love banging kids. They are filthy, filthy degenerates. But the moderate left is not on board with that little hellscape yet. I mean, they will be eventually, because unless you are mentally moving to the right, then you're going to get dragged to the left. I mean, you saw how far the country, it was 2021. Take a look at how far the country has come since 2015. It would have been inconceivable, keep using that word, to say we would have got here from 2015. I remember 2015, and to look at this, well, I guess it was on the horizon. Little things are on the horizon, and I can't imagine what the next 5 or 6 years is going to bring. I don't want to imagine what it is. And the thing is, in that regard of moving to the right, I think I'm on pretty firm ground, because every day I get more right, which I didn't think was possible. I don't know where I'm going to be in a few years. And Hugo Boss wearing and cracking jokes. Anyway, so he then compares kitty abusers to the LGBT crowd in general, basically saying that they're all brain damaged, which is weird for someone to say who's in the public sphere. It was like a Saturday Night Live skit where he was just naively insulting everyone, just throwing grenades everywhere without a clue. It's like you got an Irish, a Jew, a Russian, and a Frenchman in a room, and you manage to insult every single one there. It's like, that's something to be said. Thing is, he's kind of doing it in a funny way, because from what I've seen, nothing on Saturday Night Live is funny at all. I don't know how they stay on the air, or that if they're getting ready to pull the plug on that show. It's been, I don't know how many years they've been on the air. They've been on, 40 years plus, maybe? Because comedy in the mainstream, post-2020 riots environment, it's like comedy but without humor. And I don't mean that in a funny way. It's something new. It's like propaganda to a left-wing crowd, to just kind of show how they're on the same page, like confirmation bias, echo chamber, virtue signaling type of stuff. It's weird, because they're up there, they're doing skits and they're speaking words, and it's like there's just no comedy in it. Like, if you watch it without the laugh track, it's I don't know what it feels like. It's something new. It feels like propaganda. It's like, because that's probably what it is. The humor that is allowed now is such a narrow window, you may as well just give it up. I was thinking they would probably be more successful if they just did the live music and just turned Saturday Night Live into a music act, because doing comedy right now it's got to be like dancing through a minefield. I don't know what stand-up, I don't know what the people in stand-up are doing now, if places are open, or it's just you funnel. It's like this you're going on the wrong end of the funnel, where more and more topics are off limits. So like in the 2016-2020 era, it was like things were off limits then, and like the punchline with Blonde Man Bad or Orange County, am I right? And that was a lot of stand-up, that kind of stuff. And now it's like post-2020 riots. Holy shit, man. I don't know the solution to that, other than have like underground comedy clubs, where people come to comedy clubs and they put their you check your cell phone into a Faraday bag with like a claim ticket, and it goes into a Faraday cage or something like that, and you get it when you leave, and they wand people down for electronic devices. I don't know. That would be a trip. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. Yeah. Why isn't Nicki Minaj in as Shang-Chi? She did Chun-Li pretty well. I think she should be, when Shang-Li the sequel comes out, I think she should be it. Like, it doesn't have to be an Asian guy. hey, maybe she identifies as Asian. I know she identifies as a double D. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys all next episode.